Mom and Dad promised I could live with you. My sister Brittany's voice rang out across the waterfront bistro like she was announcing a lottery win. She stood at our family table, champagne flute raised, her smile so bright you'd think she'd just solved world hunger instead of deciding to commandeer my house. 12 pairs of eyes turned to me. My parents beamed. My aunts nodded approvingly. Brittany's husband Jason looked relieved, probably already calculating how much money they'd save. I'm Morgan Myers, 34 years old, real estate consultant, and according to my family, the perpetual backup plan. I took a slow sip of water, letting the ice clink against the glass. Let them celebrate. Let them assume. Because what none of them knew, what I hadn't told a single soul in this room, was that I'd sold that house 5 days ago for $1.2 million. And in less than a week, they'd find out exactly who I really was. In front of 50 industry leaders. If you're watching this, please subscribe and let me know where you're watching from. But to understand how we got here, I need to take you back to the beginning. The pattern started when we were kids. Brittany got the lead in the school play. I got a participation ribbon. Brittany got a new car for her 16th birthday. I got a used bike and a lecture about responsibility. When she dropped out of college sophomore year to find herself, my parents called it brave. When I worked 3 jobs to pay for my own degree, they asked why I couldn't be more like my sister, more spontaneous, more fun. The real kicker came in 2015. I was 25, fresh out of grad school, and I'd saved enough for a down payment on a small house in Seattle's Greenwood neighborhood. Almost enough. I needed $40,000 to close the deal. My parents loaned it to me, and they never let me forget it. "We helped you buy that house," became my mother's favorite refrain. Every birthday, every holiday, every time I didn't jump fast enough when Brittany needed something. I paid them back in 2017. $45,000 total, principal plus interest. I have the bank transfer receipts. I have the email from my father confirming receipt. I even have the thank you card my mother sent, the one that said, "We're so proud of you for being responsible." But 2 months later, when I couldn't loan Brittany $3,000 for a business opportunity that never materialized, my mother called me selfish. "That house wouldn't exist without us," she said. "The least you can do is help your sister." I helped. I always helped. Over the next 5 years, I loaned Brittany close to $15,000, money that evaporated like morning fog. Money she promised to repay when things got better. Things never got better, and I never asked for it back, because asking made me the villain. I paid them back with interest, $45,000 total. But in their eyes, I still owed them everything. The borrowing wasn't the worst part, it was the assumptions. Brittany borrowed my car for a weekend trip to Portland and returned it with a dent in the rear bumper and an empty gas tank. No apology, just a breezy, "Thanks, sis," and a complaint that my Bluetooth wasn't working. She used my credit card number, which I'd given her once, in an emergency, to buy $1,200 worth of furniture for her guest room. When I asked her about it, she cried to our mother, who called me an hour later. "Morgan, honey, your sister has 2 small children. She's stressed. Can't you just help her out?" "I already helped her out," I said, "by paying off her credit card debt last year. $3,000, Mom, remember?" Silence. Then, "Well, she's family. You're single and successful. You can afford it." That word. Successful. Like it was something that had happened to me by accident, not something I'd built with 80-hour weeks and a decade of 18% interest student loans. The final straw came 6 months ago. Brittany asked to borrow my house for a month while her kitchen was being renovated. Not rent it, borrow it, like it was a lawnmower. "I'll take care of it," she promised. "The kids would love the backyard." I said no, gently, apologetically, with a list of reasons that shouldn't have been necessary. She went to our parents. They called a family meeting. My father sat me down and explained very patiently that family helps family, that I was being unreasonable, that Brittany had children and I had space. "She's your sister," he said. "You have to help her." I didn't argue. I just started pulling back. Fewer family dinners, shorter phone calls. I stopped volunteering information about my life because every detail became ammunition. Morgan, you're single and successful. Brittany has 2 kids. Can't you just help her out? Nobody asked why I was pulling away. Nobody noticed I'd stopped talking about work, about the company I was building, about the deals I was closing. They didn't ask, so I didn't tell. What my family didn't know, I wasn't just successful, I was thriving. In 2019, I co-founded Myers & Associates with Elena Torres, a former colleague who'd become my closest friend. We started small, 2 people, one shared office, a handful of residential clients. By 2024, we had 12 employees and annual revenue of $2.3 million. I owned 50% of the company. My personal income last year was $180,000. I wasn't rich, but I was stable, secure, independent. And in August, I made the biggest decision of my career. I sold the Greenwood house, the same house my parents claimed ownership over. The house Brittany thought she could just move into. I sold it for $1.2 million, 6 times what I'd paid in 2015. After taxes, fees, and the mortgage payoff, I cleared $950,000. I used half of it to buy a penthouse in downtown Seattle. The other half went into expanding the business. But the real coup, the one that would change everything, came 3 weeks ago. Richard Caldwell, CEO of Cascade Development Group, called me personally. Richard had been my mentor a decade ago, back when I was a junior analyst scrambling for credibility. He'd watched me build Myers & Associates from nothing. And now he wanted to partner with us on a $15 million waterfront revitalization project. The deal was set to be announced at a partnership gala on September 26th at the Four Seasons. 50 industry leaders, local press, a keynote speech. My keynote speech. Richard's assistant sent me the official invitation 2 weeks ago. My name was printed in bold under the words, Featured Speaker, Morgan Myers, Co-founder and Principal Consultant, Myers & Associates. I didn't tell my family, not my parents, not Brittany. I wanted them to see it for themselves. I didn't hide my success out of shame. I hid it because I was tired of being their ATM. Which brings us back to that Saturday night at the waterfront bistro. Brittany, champagne in hand, glowing with the confidence of someone who'd never been told no. I have amazing news, she announced, her voice cutting through the ambient jazz and dinner conversation. Jason and I are moving in with Morgan. Mom and Dad helped us figure it out. That house is way too big for one person, and I need the space for my yoga studio. Applause. Actual applause from my Aunt Carol. My mother reached over and squeezed my hand. You're such a good sister, she whispered. I looked at Brittany, at her triumphant smile, at Jason, who wouldn't meet my eyes, at my parents, who were nodding like this had all been decided in some meeting I hadn't been invited to. That's interesting, I said, my voice calm. Because I sold that house last Friday. The table went silent. Brittany's smile froze. What? I sold it. The closing was on September 15th. The buyers take possession on the 30th. I pulled out my phone, opened my email, and slid it across the table to her. Here's the contract, signed and notarized. She stared at the screen. Her face went from pink to white in about 3 seconds. You're joking, she said. I'm not. My mother leaned forward. Morgan, why didn't you tell us? That house, we helped you buy it. You loaned me money 10 years ago. I paid you back in full in 2017, with interest. That house was mine. I didn't need anyone's permission to sell it. My father's jaw tightened. You should have discussed this with the family. Why? I asked. It was my house, my decision. Brittany stood up, her chair scraping against the floor. You did this on purpose. You knew I needed that house. I met her eyes. No, Brittany, you wanted that house. There's a difference. She grabbed her purse and left. Jason followed, mumbling an apology. My parents sat in stunned silence. I finished my water, left cash for my portion of the bill, and walked out. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. The contract spoke for me. Sunday morning, I woke up to 23 text messages. My mother. Morgan, what you did last night was cruel. Your sister is devastated. She's crying. The children are upset. How could you be so selfish? My father. Very disappointed in you. Family comes first. You embarrassed us. Brittany. You've always thought you were better than me. I hope you're happy now. I'll never forgive you for this. Even my Aunt Carol chimed in. Your parents sacrificed so much for you. This is how you repay them? I read every message, didn't reply to a single one. Elena called around noon. I saw your mom's Facebook post, she said. You okay? What post? She's vague posting about ungrateful children and broken families. It's getting a lot of sympathy comments. I closed my eyes. Of course she was. You want my advice? Elena asked. Always. Don't engage. Let them be mad. Let them vent. You don't owe them an explanation. She paused. Besides, they'll figure it out on Thursday. Thursday. The gala. I'd almost forgotten. 2 weeks ago, I'd sent my parents and Brittany formal invitations to the Cascade Development Partnership Gala. Embossed cardstock, fancy envelopes, the kind of invitation you don't throw away. My mother had called, surprised. This is quite an event. Are you involved somehow? A little, I'd said. I thought you might enjoy it. She'd accepted. So had Brittany, who'd posted an Instagram story about attending an exclusive real estate industry event and tagging it with networking and boss babe. They had no idea I was the keynote speaker. They had no idea my name was printed in the program, right under Richard Caldwell's. I sent the invitation not to gloat, but to give them a chance to see the truth. I'll be ready, I told Elena. I just hoped I actually would be. Tuesday afternoon, my phone rang. Brittany. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. Morgan? Her voice was small, shaky. Can we talk? We're talking now. I mean really talk, not like Saturday. She sniffled. I'm sorry, okay? I didn't mean to assume, I just thought, Mom and Dad said you'd be okay with it and I really need help right now. I waited. Jason lost his job last month, she continued. We're behind on the mortgage. I can't afford to rent a studio space for my yoga classes, and I thought if I could just use your house for a few months, I could get my business off the ground and… Brittany, I interrupted. Do you know how much money you owe me? Silence. $15,000, I said. Over 5 years. You borrowed it for emergencies and business opportunities, and just this once. I never asked you to pay it back because you're my sister, but you're asking me to give you my house now? That's not fair, she said, her voice hardening. That money was family helping family. You can't just… So the house I bought with my own money is family property, but the $15,000 I gave you is off limits? You're twisting my words. I'm repeating your logic. She was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, the tears were gone. You've always been like this. Cold. Calculating. Mom was right about you. What did Mom say? That you only care about yourself, that you've always put your career ahead of your family. Her voice turned sharp. You know what? I'm glad I found out who you really are. At least now I know not to count on you. She hung up. I stared at my phone. For the first time in years, I didn't feel guilty. I wasn't cold. I was done being their doormat. Wednesday evening, my mother called. Morgan, your father and I received an invitation to some sort of real estate event on Thursday, at the Four Seasons. She sounded puzzled. Did you send this? I did. Why? I thought you might find it interesting. It's a big night for the industry. Are you involved in this somehow? I smiled, even though she couldn't see it. A little. I'll be there. Well, she cleared her throat. Brittany and Jason are coming too. I hope that's all right. Brittany said it would be good for Jason's career. He's looking for work, you know. I know. It's fine. Will we see you there? Definitely. After she hung up, I opened my laptop and pulled up the event program. There it was, page 3. 6:00 p.m. Welcome reception. 7:00 p.m. Keynote address. Speaker, Morgan Myers, co-founder and principal consultant, Myers and Associates. Introducing partnership announcement with Cascade Development Group, 7:30 p.m. Q&A with Richard Caldwell, CEO, Cascade Development Group. I'd seen the program a dozen times, but it still gave me a small thrill. My phone buzzed. Instagram notification. Brittany had posted a photo of herself in a dressing room, holding up a pink cocktail dress, getting ready for tomorrow's exclusive industry event, so excited to network and support local businesses. Seattle-style networking boss babe. The comments were full of heart emojis and "you go girl" messages. I took a screenshot, just in case. Then I texted Elena, "They're coming, all of them." Her response was immediate. "Good. Let them come. Tomorrow they find out who you really are." I didn't tell them I'd be on stage. I wanted to see their faces when they realized. Before we get to the big reveal, I want to hear from you. Have you ever been underestimated by your own family? Have you ever had to prove your worth to people who should have believed in you from the start? Drop a comment below. I read every single one, and if you're enjoying this story, please hit that like button and subscribe. Trust me, you don't want to miss what happens next. Now, let's get to the event that changed everything. Thursday, September 26th. I woke up at 6 a.m. in my new penthouse. Floor-to-ceiling windows, view of Elliott Bay. Furniture I'd picked out myself, not inherited or borrowed or compromised on. This place was mine in a way the Greenwood house never had been. I made coffee and reviewed my speech one last time. 15 minutes. Professional but warm. Facts, figures, vision for the waterfront project. I'd practiced it so many times I could recite it in my sleep. Elena called at 8. "You ready to blow their minds?" "I've been ready for 15 years. Richard texted me. He's thrilled, says this partnership is going to put Myers and Associates on the map. It already is on the map. You know what I mean. National map. This is huge, Morgan." I knew. I'd spent the last 3 weeks negotiating contract terms, coordinating with attorneys, making sure every detail was airtight. This wasn't just a business deal. It was validation, proof that I'd built something real. At 4 p.m., I drove to the Four Seasons. The grand ballroom was already being set up, round tables draped in white linen, a small stage with a podium and screen, soft lighting that made everything look expensive. Richard found me backstage. He was 60, silver-haired, wearing a navy suit that probably cost more than my first car. "Morgan," he shook my hand warmly. "Your family's coming tonight, right?" "They are." "Good. They should see this. You've worked too hard for too long in the shadows." He smiled. "Time to step into the light." "Thank you, Richard, for everything. Thank you for being exactly who I knew you'd become." I wasn't nervous about the speech. I was nervous about their reaction and whether I'd feel guilty afterward, but I was done apologizing for my success. At 5:45 p.m., I watched from backstage as guests began to arrive. Industry veterans, developers, city council members, journalists from the Seattle Business Journal and Puget Sound Business Review, the kind of crowd that could make or break a company's reputation. And then I saw them. My mother, in a navy dress and pearls. My father, uncomfortable in a suit. Brittany, in that pink cocktail dress from Instagram, her phone already out for selfies. Jason trailing behind her, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. They checked in at the registration table. The volunteer handed them name tags and programs. "Are you guests of Ms. Myers?" I heard the volunteer ask. My mother nodded, smiling. "Yes, that's my daughter." The volunteer's eyes lit up. "Oh, how wonderful. She's our keynote speaker tonight. You must be so proud." My mother's smile faltered. "I'm sorry, who?" "Morgan Myers, She's speaking at 7. I couldn't see my mother's face from where I stood, but I saw her body go rigid. She said something to my father. He opened the program, flipped to page 3, and went very still. Brittany was too busy taking photos to notice. They moved into the ballroom, found their assigned table, front row, left side, perfect view of the stage. Brittany finally looked at the program. Her eyes went wide. She grabbed Jason's arm and pointed at something. He read it, then looked up at the stage, then back at her. She pulled out her phone, typed something, then shoved it back in her purse. At 6:55, the lights dimmed. The MC stepped onto the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Cascade Development Partnership Gala. We're honored to have you here tonight for a very special announcement. Brittany whispered something to Jason. He shook his head. The MC smiled. Please welcome our keynote speaker, co-founder and principal consultant of Myers & Associates, Morgan Myers. I bet it's some boring CEO. Let's just sit through this and network after. The spotlight hit me as I walked onto the stage. I'd chosen my outfit carefully. Charcoal gray Armani suit, white silk blouse, 4-inch heels, hair pulled back in a sleek bun. Professional, polished, powerful. The audience applauded. Richard Caldwell stood, clapping enthusiastically. Others followed his lead. I reached the podium and smiled. Front row, left side. My mother's mouth was open. My father sat frozen, program clutched in both hands. Brittany had gone pale, her phone forgotten on the table. Jason was staring at me like I'd just materialized out of thin air. Good evening, I said, my voice steady and clear. I'm Morgan Myers, and I'm thrilled to announce that Myers & Associates will be partnering with Cascade Development Group on a $15 million project to revitalize Seattle's waterfront district over the next 3 years. The screen behind me lit up with our company logos side by side, contract signing photos, architectural renderings of the proposed development, timeline, budget breakdown. I let the numbers speak for themselves. This partnership represents more than a business deal, I continued. It's a commitment to sustainable growth, community investment, and economic opportunity. I'm grateful to Richard Caldwell and his team for believing in our vision. I glanced at my family. Brittany was gripping the edge of the table. My mother had tears in her eyes, though I couldn't tell if they were from pride or shock. Over the next 3 years, this project will create over 200 jobs, generate millions in local revenue, and transform one of Seattle's most underutilized spaces into a thriving mixed-use development. I paused. But more than that, it proves something I've always believed, that success isn't about proving others wrong, it's about proving yourself right. The audience applauded again. Success isn't about proving others wrong, it's about proving yourself right. I didn't look at my family again. I didn't need to. After my speech, Richard joined me on stage for the Q&A. A journalist from Seattle Business Journal raised her hand. Mr. Caldwell, what made you choose Myers & Associates as your partner for this project? Richard smiled. I've known Morgan for over a decade. I watched her work her way up from junior analyst to company founder. She's one of the most talented, dedicated professionals I've ever had the privilege of working with. He turned to me. This partnership was the easiest decision I've made all year. The audience murmured approval. I felt my chest tighten, not from nerves, but from something I hadn't expected. Relief, validation, the kind that comes from someone who actually saw your work, not just your potential. Another hand went up. Ms. Myers, what advice would you give to young professionals trying to break into this industry? I thought about my answer carefully. Don't wait for permission, I said. Don't wait for validation. Build your own table. And when people underestimate you, and they will, let your work speak louder than their doubts. Applause rippled through the room. I looked at my family again. My mother was crying openly now, dabbing at her eyes with a napkin. My father sat very still, his face unreadable. Brittany was staring at her lap, her hands clenched in her lap. Jason leaned over and whispered something to her. She shook her head. The MC returned to the stage. Thank you, Morgan and Richard. Please join us for the reception. Congratulations to the entire team. The lights came up. Guests stood, gathering their things, moving toward the reception area. My family stayed seated. Richard touched my elbow. You nailed it, he said quietly. Now go face your family. They look like they've seen a ghost. I took a breath. You nailed it. Now go face your family. They look like they've seen a ghost. Here we go. I didn't go to them. I let them come to me. The reception was in full swing. Wine, hors d'oeuvres, networking conversations buzzing around us like white noise. I was talking to a city council member about zoning permits when I felt a hand on my arm. Brittany. Can we talk? Her voice was tight, controlled. Privately. I excused myself and followed her to a quiet corner near the windows. Why didn't you tell me? She hissed, keeping her voice low enough that no one else could hear. You made me look like an idiot. I posted on Instagram that I was here to network and now everyone knows you're the keynote speaker. Do you know how embarrassing that is? I didn't make you post anything, Brittany. You knew I was coming. You could have warned me. Why? Would it have changed anything? Her jaw clenched. You did this on purpose. You wanted to humiliate me. This has nothing to do with you, I said, keeping my voice calm. This is my career, my company, my success. You're not part of this equation. I'm your sister. Yes. And you assumed I'd hand over my house without asking. You borrowed $15,000 and never paid it back. You've spent years treating me like your personal bank account. I met her eyes. This isn't about humiliating you. It's about me finally stopping you from using me. Her face flushed. You're so cold. Mom was right about you. Before I could respond, Elena appeared at my side. Everything okay here? Brittany glanced at Elena, then back at me. Forget it. I can't talk to you when you're like this. She turned and walked away, Jason hurrying after her. Elena raised an eyebrow. Well, that went well. She's not mad that I succeeded. She's mad that I didn't ask her permission. My parents found me 10 minutes later. They approached slowly, like they were walking through a minefield. My mother's eyes were red. My father looked older than I remembered. Morgan, my mother's voice cracked. Why didn't you tell us about all this? I did tell you, Mom, multiple times. You just didn't listen. We didn't know you'd accomplished so much. Because every time I tried to talk about my work, you changed the subject, or you asked when I was getting married, or you told me I should help Brittany more. My father cleared his throat. We're proud of you. We just didn't realize that I was successful, I finished. That I'd built something real. That I didn't need you to rescue me. He flinched. My mother reached for my hand. I didn't pull away, but I didn't squeeze back either. We made mistakes, she said softly. We see that now. Richard Caldwell walked past, paused when he saw us. Mr. and Mrs. Myers? He extended his hand. I'm Richard Caldwell. Your daughter is extraordinary. You must be so proud. My mother's smile was shaky. Yes, we are. She's been a joy to work with, Richard continued. Brilliant, dedicated, professional. You raised an exceptional woman. He shook my father's hand, nodded to me, and moved on. The silence that followed was deafening. We'd like to talk, my father said finally. Really talk. Not tonight. I know you're busy. But soon. Next week, I said. Call me and we'll schedule something. Okay. My mother's voice was small. Okay? They left, moving through the crowd like ghosts. I exhaled slowly. I'm not shutting you out, but I'm not letting you in on your terms anymore. Elena appeared with 2 glasses of champagne. You survived. Barely. Barely is enough. Friday morning, I woke up to my phone buzzing non-stop. The Seattle Business Journal had published their article overnight. Myers and Associates seals $15 million partnership with Cascade Development Group. The photo showed me and Richard shaking hands on stage, both of us smiling. The article was glowing. 3 full paragraphs about the project, 2 about Myers and Associates' track record, and a quote from Richard that made my chest tight. Morgan Myers is a rising star in Seattle's real estate scene. Her firm has consistently delivered results that exceed expectations. This partnership is just the beginning of what I believe will be a long and fruitful collaboration. By noon, the article had been shared over 200 times on LinkedIn. 50-plus comments, most from colleagues and former clients. So well deserved. Congrats, Morgan. I knew you'd do something amazing. Way to go. This is huge. Can't wait to see what you do next. 3 potential clients emailed me directly, asking about consultations. Elena forwarded me a screenshot of the article with a message. You're trending on Seattle Business LinkedIn. Enjoy your moment. I scrolled through the comments, pausing on one from a distant cousin I hadn't spoken to in years. Saw the article. Congrats, Morgan. I always thought your parents were too hard on you. I stared at that comment for a long time. My phone buzzed again. Text from my mother. Saw the article. Very proud. Can we talk this week? I didn't respond immediately. I needed time to figure out what talk meant. Whether it meant apologize or explain why we weren't wrong. For the first time, I didn't feel like I had to prove anything. The proof was already there, in print, in public, undeniable. For the first time, I didn't feel like I had to prove anything. The proof was already there. Can we just take a moment to appreciate how Morgan handled that? No yelling, no drama, just facts and professionalism. If you've ever wanted to see someone stand up for themselves without stooping to pettiness, this is it. Now, I want to know, do you think Morgan should forgive her family, or should she keep her distance? Let me know in the comments. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now, because the aftermath is just as satisfying as the reveal. Let's keep going. Brittany's Instagram post didn't age well. By Saturday morning, several people had commented, "Wait, isn't Morgan Myers your sister? She was the keynote speaker. That's amazing. Your sister is a CEO? Why didn't you mention that in your post? I saw the article in Seattle Business Journal. Your sister is incredible." Brittany deleted the post by noon, but screenshots live forever. One of her friends, someone I vaguely recognized from high school, sent me a DM on LinkedIn. "Hey Morgan, I saw Brittany's post about networking at your event. I didn't realize you were the keynote speaker until I saw the article. That's awkward. Anyway, congrats. You've always been the smart one." I didn't respond, but I saved the message. By Sunday, Brittany's follower count had dropped from 20,000 to 19,800. Not a huge loss, but noticeable. The kind of thing she'd definitely notice. Monday morning, I got a text from Jason. "Morgan, I'm sorry about how Brittany acted at the gala. She's embarrassed. I think she's starting to realize she's been unfair to you. I don't know if she'll apologize, but I wanted you to know that I see it. And I'm sorry." I stared at the message for a long time. Jason had always been quiet, passive, the kind of guy who went along with whatever Brittany wanted because it was easier than arguing. But this was the first time he'd ever acknowledged that maybe, just maybe, his wife wasn't always right. I typed back, "Thank you for saying that. I appreciate it." He didn't respond, but 3 dots appeared and disappeared several times, like he wanted to say more but didn't know how. I thought I was the successful one. How did this happen? That was the question Brittany would have to answer for herself. Our family had a group chat. It was called Myers Family, and it had been active for years. Before the gala, it was constant. Photos of my niece and nephew, memes my mother found on Facebook, Brittany's yoga poses, dinner plans, holiday coordination. After the gala, radio silence. 3 full days, no messages, no photos, nothing. I watched the chat like I was watching a timer count down to an explosion. Finally, Wednesday evening, my mother broke the silence. Morgan, your father and I would like to invite you to dinner this Sunday. We need to talk. I read the message 3 times. Need to talk. Not want to talk. Need. I didn't respond immediately. I needed to think. To figure out if I was ready for whatever conversation they had planned. Elena's advice echoed in my head. Don't go unless you're ready. They need to earn your time, not demand it. An hour later, I replied, I'm busy Sunday. Can we do Wednesday next week instead? My mother's response came quickly. Wednesday works. 6 p.m. at our house? I hesitated. Their house meant their territory, their rules. How about we meet at a restaurant, somewhere neutral? A long pause. Then, okay, we'll find a place and let you know. I set my phone down and exhaled. It wasn't much, but it was a start. A small shift in the power dynamic. They'd asked, I'd countered, they'd agreed. For the first time in my life, I wasn't just going along with what they wanted. Elena texted me later that night. Proud of you. Setting boundaries is hard. You're doing it right. I'm not avoiding them. I'm just not letting them set the terms anymore. I wasn't avoiding them. I was just reclaiming my right to say no. To say, not yet. To say, on my terms. Thursday morning, I received an email from Brittany. Not a text, an email, like she was trying to make it official. Subject, I'm sorry, Morgan. I wanted to reach out and apologize for how I acted at the gala. I didn't know you were so successful, and I was caught off guard. I realize now that I made some assumptions about your life that weren't fair. I hope we can move past this and continue to be sisters. Family is important, and I don't want to lose you over a misunderstanding. Love, Brittany. I read it twice. Then I read it a third time, looking for the words that weren't there. She was sorry for being caught off guard, for making assumptions, for a misunderstanding. She wasn't sorry for treating me like a backup plan, for borrowing $15,000 and never paying it back, for assuming my house was hers to take. She was sorry she got embarrassed, not sorry for what she did. I hit reply. Brittany, thank you for reaching out. I appreciate the effort. But you're not apologizing for the right things. You're apologizing for not knowing I was successful. You're not apologizing for how you've treated me over the years. The borrowing, the assumptions, the entitlement. When you're ready to talk about that, I'll listen. Until then, I need space. Morgan. I hit send before I could second-guess myself. She didn't reply. An apology without accountability is just damage control. 2 hours later, my mother called. I let it go to voicemail. Her message was short. Morgan, Brittany is very upset. Can you please call her? She's trying. I deleted the voicemail. Trying wasn't enough. Not anymore. Wednesday evening, I met my parents at a small Italian restaurant in Ballard. They were already seated when I arrived, looking nervous. My mother had ordered my favorite wine, a gesture I recognized as an olive branch. Thank you for coming, my father said as I sat down. Of course, we ordered. Made small talk about the weather, the restaurant, anything but the elephant in the room. Finally, my father cleared his throat. Morgan, we want to apologize. We didn't know you'd accomplished so much. We should have paid more attention. You didn't know because you didn't ask, I said gently. Every time I tried to talk about work, you changed the subject, or you compared me to Brittany, or you asked when I was getting married. My mother's eyes filled with tears. I thought I was helping you. I thought you needed motivation. I didn't need motivation, Mom. I needed support. I needed you to believe in me without conditions. Silence. We were wrong, my father said quietly. We see that now. I took a breath. I don't want to cut you out of my life, but I need things to change. I need you to respect my boundaries. Don't make promises about my house, my time, my money without asking me first. Don't compare me to Brittany, and don't expect me to fix her problems. My mother nodded, wiping her eyes. We can do that. Can you? I asked. Because this isn't just about saying the words, it's about following through. We'll try, my father said. We'll really try. I looked at them, really looked at them. They were older than I remembered, tired, scared of losing me. Okay, I said, let's start there. I'm not asking you to understand my choices. I'm asking you to respect them. A week later, Brittany texted, "Can we meet? I want to talk, really talk." I agreed to coffee. Neutral ground, a cafe in Fremont, halfway between our neighborhoods. She was already there when I arrived, sitting in the corner with a latte she hadn't touched. Her eyes were red. "Thank you for coming," she said as I sat down. "Of course." "I'm sorry," her voice cracked. "I'm really, really sorry. Not for being surprised at the gala. For everything. For treating you like you owed me something. For taking advantage of you. For thinking you were less than me just because you didn't have the life I have." I stayed quiet, letting her continue. "I've been seeing a therapist," she said, "for the past 3 weeks. Jason insisted, and she's helped me realize that I've been projecting my own insecurities, my own fears about not being good enough." She wiped her eyes. "I thought if I could prove I was better than you, I'd feel better about myself. But it didn't work. It just made me miserable." "Brittany, I know I owe you $15,000, she interrupted. "I'm going to pay you back. 500 a month. I don't know how long it'll take, but I'll do it. And I'm not going to ask you for anything else. Not your house, not your money, not your time. Not unless you offer." I studied her face. She looked exhausted, vulnerable, real. "I don't need you to pay me back right away," I said. "But I need you to acknowledge that what you did was wrong. Not just embarrassing, wrong." "It was wrong," she said. "I was wrong. And I'm sorry." I nodded slowly. "Okay. We can work with that. Forgiveness isn't a light switch. It's a process." The article kept circulating. 2 weeks after the gala, my Aunt Carol called. "Morgan, I just read the article about your company. I had no idea you were doing so well." Her voice was bright, enthusiastic. "We should get together sometime, catch up." I remembered her comment at the dinner. "Your parents sacrificed so much for you. This is how you repay them?" "That sounds nice," I said, keeping my voice neutral. "I'll check my schedule and get back to you." She never called again. A former college roommate sent me a LinkedIn message. "Morgan, I saw you on the Business Journal. Let's grab drinks. I want to hear everything." I accepted. We met for drinks. She spent an hour talking about her own life, then asked, "So, what's it like being a CEO?" "Co-founder," I corrected, "and it's a lot of work." "I bet. You always were ambitious." She said it like a compliment, but I heard the edge underneath. Ambitious, driven, the words people use when they mean intimidating. Elena noticed the pattern too. "Everyone wants to be your friend now," she said over lunch. "Where were they 5 years ago?" "Exactly. Don't let them rewrite history. You were always successful. They just didn't see it." She was right. Success hadn't changed me. It had just changed what people chose to see. My phone buzzed. Text from my mother. "Your cousin Amy is getting married next spring. She'd love for you to be at the wedding. Can I give her your number?" I stared at the message. Amy was Aunt Carol's daughter. We hadn't spoken in 3 years. I replied, "Sure, but I can't promise I'll be available." It's funny how success makes people suddenly care. Where were they 5 years ago? Small boundaries. But boundaries nonetheless. The gala was good for business. Really good. In the 2 weeks following the event, Myers and Associates received 8 new consultation requests. Total potential value, $3.2 million. Elena and I hired 2 new analysts, expanded our office space, bought better software, upgraded everything. A local business magazine reached out, asking if I'd participate in a panel discussion about women in real estate. I said yes. Richard Caldwell emailed, "The board is thrilled with our partnership. Let's schedule a kickoff meeting for early November. And the biggest win? We bought our office. For 5 years, we'd been leasing a small suite in a shared building. Now, we own 1,200 square feet in downtown Seattle, our name on the door, our logo on the wall. Elena and I stood in the empty space the day we closed, champagne in hand. "We did it," she said. "We did. You know what this means, right?" "What?" "No one can ever take this away from us. This is ours." I looked around the space, the exposed brick, the big windows overlooking Pike Place Market, the polished concrete floors. It wasn't fancy, but it was ours. We posted a photo on LinkedIn. Elena and me, holding scissors, cutting a red ribbon across the doorway. The caption read, "New office, new chapter. Here's to building something that lasts." 300 likes, 60 comments, 5 new client inquiries. My mother commented, "So proud of you, sweetheart." Brittany liked the post but didn't comment. I didn't need their approval anymore. But it was nice to have it. This isn't just an office. It's proof that you don't need anyone's permission to build your dream. That night, I sat in my penthouse, looking out at the city lights and realized something. I wasn't angry anymore. 1 month after the gala, I invited my parents and Brittany to coffee. Not at anyone's house, not at a restaurant, a cafe. Neutral, public, safe. I brought a printed document, 1 page, 5 bullet points. "What's this?" my mother asked. "Ground rules," I said. "If we're going to rebuild our relationship, we need to be clear about expectations." I slid the paper across the table. Family Agreement. October 2024. 1. Respect boundaries. No one makes decisions about my property, time, or money without asking me first. 2. No comparisons. Mom and Dad will not compare me to Brittany or vice versa. We are different people with different lives. 3. Debt repayment. Brittany will repay the $15,000 she owes me at $500 a month for 30 months. If she cannot make a payment, she will notify me in advance. 4. Scheduled visits. I will attend family gatherings, but I need at least 1 week's notice. I reserve the right to decline if I'm unavailable. 5. No public drama. No one will post about family conflicts on social media or discuss them with extended family without permission. My father read it carefully. "This is very formal." "It needs to be," I said. "We've tried informal. It didn't work." My mother looked hurt. "Do you really think we need this?" "Yes, I do." Brittany spoke up. "I'll sign it. I'll agree to it. Whatever you need." My father nodded slowly. "Okay, we can do this." "We can do—" "Can you?" I asked. "Because this isn't just about agreeing. It's about following through. If you can't, I need to know now." "We can," my mother said quietly. "We will." This isn't about control. It's about respect. If we can't respect each other, we can't be family. I didn't make them sign it, but I kept the paper, just in case. Thanksgiving was the first real test. My mother called 3 weeks in advance. "We're having Thanksgiving at the house, 2 o'clock. Can you come?" "I can come from 2 to 6, I said, "but I'll need to leave by 6. "Why? Do you have plans?" "I have a work call at 7. I didn't, but I needed an exit strategy. "Okay," she said. 2 to 6 is fine. Thanksgiving Day, I arrived at exactly 2 p.m. Brittany was already there with Jason and the kids. She smiled when she saw me, tentative but genuine. "Hey," she said. "Hey." Dinner was normal, surprisingly normal. My mother didn't ask about my love life. My father didn't compare me to Brittany. Brittany didn't ask for anything. We ate turkey, watched football, played with the kids. At 5:30, Brittany pulled me aside. "I transferred $500 to your account last week. I'll do the same next month." "Thank you," I said. "I mean it. I'm going to pay you back. All of it. I know. At 6 p.m., I stood to leave. My mother didn't argue, she just hugged me. Thank you for coming, she said. Thank you for respecting my time. She nodded, eyes a little misty. As I drove home, I realized something. I didn't feel drained. I didn't feel guilty. I didn't feel like I just survived a battlefield. I felt okay. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. Elena texted me later. How was it? I replied, better than expected. They actually followed the rules. Good. One holiday down. A lifetime to go. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel drained after seeing them. I smiled. One holiday down. December tested us. Brittany texted, Morgan, I know I said I wouldn't ask for anything, but I'm in a bind. Jason's still looking for work and we're behind on the kids' preschool tuition. Can I borrow $2,000? I'll pay you back. I stared at the message, borrow. That word again. I called her instead of texting back. Brittany, we had an agreement. I know, but this is different. This is for the kids. You're already paying me back $15,000. You can't take on more debt. So you're just going to let your niece and nephew go without preschool? I closed my eyes. That's not fair. Neither is refusing to help your family when you can afford it. Brittany, listen to me. I'm not your emergency fund. You need to figure this out on your own. Apply for financial aid. Talk to the school about a payment plan. But you can't keep coming to me every time something goes wrong. Silence. I can't believe you, she said finally. You've changed. No, I just stopped letting you take advantage of me. She hung up. 2 hours later, my mother called. Morgan, Brittany told me you refused to help her with the preschool tuition. Those are your niece and nephew. Mom, I interrupted. We talked about this. Remember the agreement? You're not supposed to get involved in financial issues between me and Brittany. But the children are not my responsibility. Brittany and Jason are adults. They need to handle this themselves. My mother was quiet for a long moment. You're right. I'm sorry. I almost dropped the phone. Thank you, I said. Setting boundaries isn't a one-time thing. It's a daily choice. She hung up. I sat in the silence, exhausted, but not guilty. Progress. March 2025. I sat in my office, our office, looking out at Pike Place Market. 6 months since the gala. 6 months since everything changed. Myers & Associates was thriving, 20 employees, projected revenue $4 million. We'd just signed a consultation contract for a $50 million mixed-use development in Bellevue. Elena poked her head in. You ready for the Portland meeting? Almost. We were opening a second office. Portland, Oregon, expanding, growing, building something that would outlast both of us. My relationship with my family had stabilized. Not perfect, not like it used to be, but healthier. I saw my parents once a month. We had dinner, talked about safe topics, avoided landmines. It was cordial, sometimes even warm. Brittany had paid back $3,000 so far. 6 months, 6 payments. She was keeping her word. We weren't close. We probably never would be. But we were civil, respectful. That was enough. Last week, she'd texted me a photo of her new yoga studio, a small rented space in Ballard. Finally made it happen. Thanks for believing I could do this on my own. I'd replied, proud of you, and I meant it. My phone buzzed. LinkedIn notification. Someone had tagged me in a post about women-owned businesses in Seattle. The post had 200 likes. I didn't need the validation anymore, but it was nice to see. Elena appeared in my doorway again. Caldwell just emailed. The waterfront project is ahead of schedule. They want to feature us in their annual report. That's great. You okay? You seem contemplative, I smiled, just thinking about how different things are now. Better different? Yeah, better different. I used to think success meant proving them wrong. Now I know it means proving myself right. April brought an unexpected invitation. Brittany asked me to coffee. Not to borrow money, not to ask for favors, just to talk. We met at the same cafe in Fremont. She was already there, 2 lattes waiting. I got yours, she said, sliding one across the table. Oat milk, right? Right, thanks. She took a breath. I've been in therapy for 6 months now, and I've learned a lot about myself, about why I treated you the way I did. I waited. I was jealous, she said. Not of your success, though that's part of it. I was jealous of your independence, your confidence, the fact that you didn't need anyone's approval to be happy. Her voice cracked. I built my entire identity around being the good daughter, the one who got married, had kids, did everything right. And when that didn't make me happy, I blamed you. Brittany, let me finish. She wiped her eyes. I'm not apologizing because you're successful now. I'm apologizing because I treated you like you were less than me when you weren't. I'm apologizing for using you, for taking advantage of your kindness, for making you feel like you owed me something just because we're family. I felt my own eyes sting. Thank you, I said quietly. That means a lot. I don't expect you to forgive me right away, she continued. I just wanted you to know that I'm trying, really trying, to be a better person, a better sister. I can see that, I said, and I appreciate it. We sat in silence for a moment. Can we start over? She asked. Not forget what happened, but try again? Yeah, I said. We can try. Healing isn't linear, but it's possible. She smiled, small, tentative, real. Late April, Sunday evening. I sat in my penthouse, journal open on my lap, watching the sun set over Puget Sound. A year ago, I was afraid to set boundaries. Afraid that if I said no, my family would stop loving me. Afraid that standing up for myself made me selfish. But I learned something. If a relationship only exists because you have no boundaries, it's not a healthy relationship. I didn't need my family to be proud of me, to be proud of myself. I didn't need their approval to know my worth. But I also learned that forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It means choosing not to let the past control the future. My family hurt me. They took me for granted. They made me feel invisible. But they're trying now. And that's enough. For now. I closed the journal and looked out at the city. My city. The place I'd built my life, my company, my future. My phone buzzed. Elena. Morgan, we just got invited to speak at the National Real Estate Summit in Chicago. June. You interested? I smiled. Always. Another text came through. My mother. Dinner next Sunday? Your father wants to grill. No pressure if you're busy. I replied, I'll be there. 5 to 8? Perfect. Love you. Love you too, Mom. I set my phone down and took a deep breath. This was my life now. Boundaries and second chances, success and family. Not perfect, not easy, but mine. I didn't need them to see my worth. I just needed to see it myself. And once I did, everything changed. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and gold. I watched until the last light faded. Then I stood, closed the curtains, and got ready for tomorrow. So, what do you think? Did Morgan handle this the right way? Should she have cut her family off completely, or was giving them a second chance the right move? Let me know in the comments. I love hearing your perspectives, and if this story resonated with you, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's living well and setting boundaries. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss a story. Until next time, take care of yourself. You deserve it.